Okay, 2022, paper 2 deferred, question 10. Mark makes a grid on the coordinate plane by drawing the following grid lines for all integers k. He draws a line of slope 1 through each point of the form k0. He also draws a line of slope -1 through each point of the form k0. The diagram below shows Mark's grid lines for some of the coordinate plane, as well as the x and the y axis. Okay, so before we go any further, slope of 1 would be, for example, this line here, a positive upward line. So that line would go through 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, and so on. Now, what about a negative line? Well, a negative one would be where, like, for example, the pink one is. So all the downward ones really are your slope ones, and all the upward ones are the downwards are your -1s, sorry, and the upward are your +1s. So the point 3116 lies on 2 of Mark's grid lines. Work out, so in other words, there's a line that goes down through it, there's a line that goes up through it. Work out the y-intercept of each of these grid lines. What is, in other words, the y value for which each of the lines crosses the y-axis? So they very kindly told you exactly what a y-intercept is. We should know this already, but they've told you that the y-intercept is where each of the line crosses the y-axis. So they didn't even need to know that by heart. Okay, so the upward line is going to have a slope of 1, and the downward line is going to have a slope of -1. So if you were thinking about your equation of a line, you would have y minus y1 equal, so you'd have y minus x minus 30. The equation of that line would be this. So phi, and this would be minus 31 plus 16. So that would be x plus y, and minus 31 plus 16. What's that? Minus 31 plus 16. So we have minus 15. Okay. Now that's not really the question. The question is the y-intercept. Now, if it's a y-intercept, then you can let x equals to 0. So for that reason, y would end up being, so what was that? Minus plus 16, that's right, is it? Y is equal to, no, that doesn't make sense. I've done something wrong. Y minus y1 equals m bracket x x1. Oh yeah, I can see now, sorry. When I moved y over, that's x minus y, minus 31 plus 16, x minus y, and that would be minus 15. So if I let x equals to 0, then I would bring y to the left is one of the answers. Now, the other one, like if you were to rethink this for a second, put the slope as -1 for the downward line. So as you with minus x minus 16 minus 31, so you end up with x plus 1. Now, again, if I'm looking for the y-intercept, if I let x equals to 0, then y is 47. So the second answer is, in fact, 47. Sorry, just in terms of the graph, what we're basically saying is that's minus 15 and that's 47. That is where it crosses the y-axis. L is one of the grid lines. It has the following equations where x and y are elements of R. Find the equation of the image of L under axial symmetry in the x-axis. Now, if we wanted to see this as a graph, so for example, if I let x equals to 0, y is 12. And if I let y equals to 0, x is 12. So if I was to imagine a sketch of this, it would look like 0, 12, so 12, 0, somewhere down there. So in other words, if I was to look at this as a little sketch, it would be a downward line like that. So if I was looking for the image under axial symmetry in the x-axis is acting as our kind of mirror. So if I was reflecting it in the x-axis, it would end up being like that. So you would still, so this would become 0 minus 12, and your slope would end up being -1. So you're looking for the equation. So the slope would be -1, and you'd have 0 minus 12. because it would be exactly the same just down underneath. And the slope would be +1. Sorry, sure, it's an upward line at that stage. So that's a 1 and a 0 minus 12. So that would be y minus y1, which is now positive 12, equals m bracket x minus x1, which is 0. So y plus 12 is equal to 1x. So if I was putting it all together, it would be x minus y equals 12. So practically the same, only because you're reflecting it in the x-axis, obviously the line goes down the other way, so it's x minus y is equal to 12. Now I'm going to skip, yeah, I think we have to skip the rest of this. We're going on to circles. Actually, part D, we should be able to do. Mark adds some horizontal and vertical grid lines and shades in some of the resulting triangles. The diagram on the right shows the pattern that he makes in a square for which x is bigger than or equal to 0, less than or equal to 1, and y is between, again, 0 and 1. What percentage of the square is shaded? Well, I suppose we can easily see that this would in fact fit right in there under axial symmetry in that line in the middle. So, I mean, nothing to it really. 50% is shaded. Half of the square is shaded. This goes on to congruency. Yeah, so you haven't done, I mean, you've done it in junior cycle, but you haven't done it this year. So yeah, okay, we'll leave the rest of that.